Okay, so yesterday we created an account and today first we need to install Google Cloud command line tool and then we can create the cluster. Okay, so that we can able to access the cluster. So it can be on your local laptop or it can be any other virtual machine you can take, and there you can install the Google Cloud CLI so that we can able to access like how we have a AWS CLI, Azure CLI. Same way Google Cloud CLI is available, which is a G Cloud. So that we need to install. So wherever you install, you can able to access the cluster. Okay. So not only cluster, any resources if you want to do, even if you want to create a virtual machines, okay, if you want to create storage, anything, you can able to access it from the command line wherever you install. So for that, I want to take one Linux machine. We'll see whether the Google Cloud is available for Windows local. So it is expecting supported versions are 3.52, 3.7 and 2.0 higher. We should have Python installed. Some tools bundled with Cloud SDK requirements. Okay. So if it is Windows machine, then instead of that, let me take any Linux machine from AWS. I'm taking one of the Linux machine. So inside that, I'll install Python, and from there we can install this.
Hey, Praveen?
Yep.
I'm sorry, I think I missed some part. Are you installing the Google SDK on an AWS machine?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So we can install on our local also.
Yeah, that's what I
Our
thought.
local
You know,
laptop
normally
also we
see.
can install. So I prefer always Linux machine so that it will be easy.
So you will access from AWS virtual machine to Google Cloud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. 2.7.16 version is already installed, and it is expecting 2.7.9 minimum. So it's available, and some, for example, Java tools for Google App Engine. Okay. But where is a link to install that? Okay, so here we can see this is a tar file which we can download based upon the architect. We can download if it is 64-bit, we can download this one, and once we download it, or alternatively we can have this URL to download this 64-bit or 32-bit. We need to extract. Once we extract, we'll get this install.sh file, right? And then if we execute gcloud init, then it will ask the credentials to which Google Cloud account you want to connect. So you need to provide the credentials, whatever the account you have in the Google Cloud, so that it can able to connect. Okay. So after that, you can execute the commands, gcloud commands. So first, what I'll do, I'll download it here. It's extracted, and go inside this directory, and here this is the script install.sh. Okay, so execute this one. So do you want to help improve the Google Cloud SDK? No, we don't want to improve anything inside the Google Cloud SDK. So you just click N here, no, and modify profile to update, yes, because what are the commands you are going to get, gcloud commands, so it should be updated in the path. Okay, then yes, obviously, and enter a path to an RC file to update or leave blank. So inside the bash RC will create a file. Yes, that's it. Okay, so once it is done, then you can able to execute gcloud. Okay, so we need to exit and log out. Still it's not there. Hmm. Why couldn't not create directories, so it cannot be updated. A path to an RC file to update or leave blank. Okay, actually I gave Y, that's the reason it was giving error. Directly I should give enter. So here this has been created. So previously I was giving accidentally Y over here. So that's I couldn't able to create directories for this one. That's why it got error. So now So this will update the profile. No need to log out and log in. Source command will. Okay. So now we can able to get the gcloud command. So now we can able to execute gcloud. Okay. So gcloud config list. Nothing is there. Why? Because we installed, but it is not connecting to any of the cluster as of now. So for that, what we need to do, we need to use gcloud init initialization. We need to. When we execute this command, it will ask us. It will open a browser and it will ask us for credential to which Google account you want to connect. So whatever the credential we do, then from this command line, we can able to connect to that. What we say account. Okay, even in Azure also we have Azure login, AZ login command is there. So here it is a gcloud init. So if you must log into you would like to log in, yes. So enter verification code. So Google Cloud SDK wants to access your Google accounts. So yes, hello. Okay, you are logged in as this email ID. This account has no projects. Would you like to create one? Yes, because as I said, minimum one project should be created. After that, you can create whatever you want. So enter a project ID. So this will be the one, or maybe cube demo. Project creation failed accessing HTTP. Basically, immediately it should ask login prompt for our Google Cloud. This time they have changed everything. So once we provide the credential, that's it. We can able to log into the. So here I'm selecting my account. Would you like to create one the project? Yes. ID cannot be changed later. Project ID must be 6 to 30 characters, lowercase digits or hyphens in length and start with a lowercase. Or what is the problem when I give here cube ADM? Entity already exists. Okay. So maybe the project name which we are using already exists. Demo 090. So that we can create from here also. Once we log into the Google account, from there also we can able to create that project. No need to create it from here. If you already created, that project will show here, so that we can select that project. Okay, I think now setting default on this feature, create a default photo command that required. Okay, I think it's connected. G-Cloud config list. Now, if you see here, previously this message was not showing. Now you can able to see the Google account, whichever account you created and the project which is created, right? So now it connected successfully. It got connected, and we can able to see now. And we can have a lot of commands. So if you go to Google G-Cloud CLI, you'll get lot of commands. So we'll see some of the commands. G-Cloud compute instances. If in case if we created any virtual machines instances, that information it will show. Anything like in AWS, how we have virtual machines, S3, IAM, VPCs, everything we can able to access with the AWS command. If you install AWS command line tool in anywhere, same way here also with this you can able to access. Okay. So here in Google Cloud, we have a concept called API. So whenever you are accessing this, you need, if you are trying to access it from the command line, you need to, it is sending the API request, right? So from here, it is sending the API call. So that API should be enabled, then only it can be accessible. So I'll go to the account. So enable APIs and services. We'll go to the APIs, and here I can search with compute. So this is a compute engine API. So when from command line, whenever we are executing any commands related to the compute engine, okay. So this API should be enabled. Then only it will receive the call and it will give you the output. So enable this. So this will take a little bit of time to enable it. Same way we have API for Kubernetes also. When we are trying to access Kubernetes cluster from the command line, then it will expect this API should be enabled for Kubernetes also. So did you guys created a free tier account in Google?
Yes, but we are
Yes.
getting certain issues.
See here on top it is showing free trial status 21,000 credit and 364 days are remaining with a full account. So yesterday in front of you itself I created this account. I did not face any issues. So if you face any issue, just open a case with Google. So they will help you. So in the meantime, we can have few commands here like or else. Gcloud init for initialization. Gcloud config list to see the account details, gcloud compute instances list, and gcloud container clusters list to see gcloud version and gcloud components list. In case if you want to install gcloud components, install package name. Here also we can install some packages like we see gcloud components list. Here these are some components are available. These many components has been not installed. If you want to install, you can install these components. Let's say after installing the Kubernetes, uh, after creating the cluster from this Linux machine, I want to connect to the cluster. So you can install this kubectl package so that you can able to access. Okay, let me see, it's done. Yep, I think it's completed. Now the same command, if I execute compute instances list, some requests not succeed, is not found and cannot be used for API calls. Visiting already be enabled compute engine. Find out what kind of credentials you need, why it is expecting credentials. Previously, last month when I was doing, it was not asking for any credentials. This time, okay, it is asking to create service account, and with that service account, we can able to access. Okay, so we'll discuss about this later on. So as of now, we should have a console. Actually, we do need of having this gcloud console also to access the Kubernetes cluster because it's having its own cloud shell. But in real time, we don't go always to that cloud shell and we will access. We'll have separate, like in our own machine also we'll have um, our this tool, command line tool, or maybe we'll have any passion server. From there we are going to access this. Okay, so that's why I created one Linux machine, because again in our laptop I need to install Python and then all the prerequisites and this Google Cloud tool. It will be very late in Windows machines, so that's why I prefer the Linux machine. So now we'll go and create cluster. Okay, here it is, Kubernetes engine, and we can see clusters. As of now, we don't see any clusters. So Kubernetes engine API is being enabled. I think it's getting enabled in the background. So as I said, for compute engine, the API is there the same way. This is also is having an API. So we can create a cluster here. So create cluster. I think after enabling this, we can create cluster. Okay, it's done. So let me create cluster. So here we can see this. So how to create a cluster? So we can give any name. So I'll give my cluster, or maybe demo cluster -1, and this is the location type, the zonal or the regional. So you can select in which region you want to create, or you like in AWS. I hope most of you guys are aware about AWS. So like availability zones and regions. So region is one geographical location, and zones are like one physical data center in each region. The same way here also the concept is. And after that, so what is your master version you are expecting? Means the cluster version. Basically, in current scenario, the Kubernetes version is 1.18 is running. The latest version is. But if you go to Azure or EKS or GKE, they will not provide you the latest version. Always they'll provide a little bit older versions, because they did not test the latest version from their end. So they will cannot give support for you. So that's why they will give you only, you see here, maximum they are giving 1.16, but default they are giving this one. It's a stable version. So you can go up to 1.16. Okay, the latest is 1.18. If you manually download from the Google site, the latest will be 1.18. Okay, so you can select any of the version, or you can go with the default version. Okay, and so it is getting created.
Praveen, is it creating one master in the background cluster?
Sorry.
I mean, we are creating cluster, right? Is it like
Yes.
creating single master, right? Or high available?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So here, actually, it should give us immediately one by one page, right? After selecting this, it should ask for node pool in which network we want to create. So here, so if you see here, the default node pool already it is selected 3. Means already some default configuration has been set. So here minimum you can give 3 work nodes. You cannot reduce less than 3. So all while creating the cluster, all this default information has been configured. So that's why is not asking for us. So just I selected which version is there. That's it. If I selected create, then it's getting created the cluster with the default information whatever is configured. If you want to change it, you can change it. If you see here, number of nodes are 3. So if you give 2, you need to change it here. Basically, previously it was not taking 2 less than 3. It was not used to take. Okay, I think now it is accepting, or maybe um, we need to save. Then only we can come to know. So here, enable auto scaling is not enabled. So enable auto scaling means for these virtual machines, whenever there is an huge load, the pods gets created. So virtual machines also should be scaled, because if the virtual machine is not scaling, pods might be expecting some huge load, but virtual machine doesn't have that much of load. Then it should create more virtual machines so that pods will get created. So that option we can enable. And so here if you see cluster smaller than 3 nodes may experience downtime during upgrades. So that's why they are recommending default 3. Okay. So this is upgrade of your cluster. Automatically Google Cloud will take care of your upgrade. And
Hello.
sorry.
So regarding the auto scaling,
Hmm.
so in AWS we have different types of load balances, so application
Hmm.
network. So in this Google Cloud, so which type of load balancer is here? I mean,
See, we not come to the load balancer as of now. Okay. So we'll talk about load balancer later on. So it's just auto scaling means whenever the pods are getting created, if the virtual machines doesn't have enough resources, then it should create one more virtual machines. Like that will be decided how many virtual machines you want to give. And here the nodes
okay,
configuration, which image it is taking, the image type, okay, and the capacity E2 or what else it is taking. So like in AWS we have T.micro, T2, M5, M4. So same way, two CPUs, 4 GB RAM it is taking per, and how much storage we are allocating, 100 GB. If you don't want that, you can reduce that capacity, or if you don't want this capacity, maybe instead of E2, if you want to go with any other, okay, so you can select here general purpose. Okay. And this is about little bit security, and then automation. Enable maintenance window means automatically Google Cloud guys will do the automation. And basically we have horizontal pod auto scaling concept. Apart from horizontal pod auto scaling, we have a vertical pod auto scaling also, but very rarely we use the vertical scaling. We'll use mostly uh, horizontal pod auto scaling. We have separate concept for that. We have separate session for horizontal pod auto scaling, how we can do that we'll discuss. Okay. And coming to the network, in which network by default here, like same like in AWS, we have a default VPC in every region. Here also we have VPC. Inside that VPC is are getting created. Okay, so it is getting some IP range. So inside that IP range, this cluster is going to getting created. So if you select by default, this option is selected. So the load balancer, enable HTTP load balancer. So this will help us to configure ingress controller also. So this all details are already predefined. So if we want to change anything, then we can change as per our requirement. That's why it was not asking anything. So just simple okay, just a second guys, I'll be back.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so cluster has been created. So to connect to this cluster, we can see here the connect option. So here we'll get this option, this commands we can able to execute. So this we can execute in the cloud shell. Okay, means here in the even in Azure also will have a concept called cloud shell. So what it will do, Google Cloud or Azure will give you a shell prompt. means backend will create one storage account and it will give you a bash shell. So when you execute commands internally, means from the Google Cloud itself, the call will reach to the cluster. Okay, it will be like assume this is a Google Cloud and this is our laptop or maybe our desktop, our separate machine. So in real time, we don't connect from one machine to another. Like as of now, I'm using Linux machine from the AWS. But in your organization, this machine also may be from your Google Cloud itself. Okay, the virtual machine. So now I don't want to create virtual machine in Google Cloud. So that's why I created, already I have created in the AWS. That's why I'm using the AWS machine. But in your scenarios, it may be in your own organization. This may be created in your main Google Cloud account itself. Okay. So either it's a laptop or any another machine, from there you are sending API calls. Like whenever you are executing a commands, what does it mean? It's an API call it is going to send. So Google Cloud Compute instance lists or maybe containers clusters list. So this command will go and talk to the cluster, whatever it got created. So here it will go to this API and it will receive this request and it will give you the output. So internally also, out of that Google Cloud, we are doing this. Internally also, they are providing you the Cloud Shell. So from this Cloud Shell also, if you execute the same command, it will contact the cluster and it will give you, okay, the shell, what it is giving shell to execute the commands. So here you can copy this command. So this is to get credentials. Credentials means in the bare metal concept also I shown you that .cube directory we need to create, and the admin.conf file should be copied as a config file inside the user's home directory, right? So let's say I created one user account home. So this was a user account I created, but here I created one directory called cube and I created one file config file and copied the etc admin.conf file, copied the content of this file to here. Then only Praveen user can able to execute kubectl get pods all this command, so that it will send the API call to that URL which I shown you inside this file, the master URL. Same way here also, from here or here, if you want to access it, you should have that file. So to have that file, we no need to manually create .cube or that copying of file. If you execute this command, automatically this get credentials will create a directory and it will copy that admin.conf file as a config file inside your local. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this run in a Cloud Shell. So here it is going to create a shell for me. Okay, continue provisioning your Google Cloud Shell. So here this is the command gcloud container clusters get credentials. Okay, so if you see here cube config entry generated for this cluster. Okay, if you see, it's created .cube directory and inside this .cube you can able to see that config file. To get this, we execute this command get credentials. Okay, so now when you are executing this, you are giving what is the project name and in which availability zone it got created and what is the cluster name. So these details we are providing. Okay, so in your environment also, when you want to access to any cluster, so where it got created, what is the name of that cluster and which availability zone it's created, you need to provide that information. Otherwise, if you don't provide proper information, then it cannot able to connect to respective cluster. So now you can able to execute this command. Okay, So no resource found in default namespace. If I go and check in the cube-system namespace, we can able to see the pods which are related to the Kubernetes. So in the yesterday someone were asking how to enable dashboard for Kubernetes. If you are using manually like KubeADM concept, you won't get that. But if you are using Azure or maybe GKE, by default, if you see the difference between yesterday's and today's pods by default. So Heapster pod is there and a Matrix pod is there and some Prometheus pods also there. Stack driver pod is also there. These are some extra pods got created. Okay, and here these are some extra pods got created. This is a stack driver is to get the logs of your Kubernetes cluster, which is providing by the Google Cloud. So in the stack driver, you will able to get the logs. Okay, and Prometheus will capture the metrics, all the metrics from your workloads. That will have separate session on Prometheus. So these are the pods available by default inside the GKE cluster. So let me try from here whether it will work or not. It's not showing any information. We already created one cluster. So let me try this command to connect the cluster from here. Yes, it's connected. Okay, you see .cube directory got created and it's available. So we need to install kubectl command here. Okay, this is already available. Kubectl package is available. Now kubectl get nodes. So these are the three nodes are available, and if you see these are the worker nodes. We can't see here master node. And if you see this config file here, so this is a server. Okay, wait. Yep. So this is a server where it's sending the API calls. Okay. So by default using some public IP. So there it is sending the API calls. Okay. So we can't see the master here. Only backend they will maintain the high availability altogether, and we can only send the API calls to this master, and it will receive and it will give you the outputs whatever you are executing. So now these are the three worker nodes are available, and kubectl describe node, this node name if you give. So here always remember describe will show you the detailed information for any pod, for any kind of object. Okay, whether it can be volume, it can be secret, config maps, any object, you can able to see more information about that. And you can see any errors also, like this node is not working, it's having any problem, or you created a pod and it is not coming up. In the describe command, it will show you the output, okay, where it is getting stuck. And main important is in each worker node how much of resources are consumed and how much resources are left, that you can able to see with this describe command. So here you can see 55% limit means what, maximum threshold. Okay, request means as of now it is using this much of resources. So based on this, in this node, it contains 2 CPU, right? Each node is having 2 CPUs, 4 GB RAM. So from these 2 CPUs, this much of used, and maximum limit has been confidence threshold is this much. Okay, so these are some basic commands. And for a pod, if you want to see, let's say kubectl get pods -n cube system. So these are the pods. Let's say if you want to see the information, kubectl describe pod name -n cube system. So here you can see container has been started. It is pulled the image, and it started successfully running, no issues. And how much CPU has been configured, resources has been configured, everything will be seen over here. Okay, so tomorrow onwards we are going to talk about the Kubernetes topics. Okay, so what I am going to do, I am going to delete this cluster. So what I'll do, I'll create, if possible, if time permits, I'll create any automation, either Terraform or either it may be any script, so that whenever I want to start the session, I will execute and I will create a cluster, and once it is done, I'm going to delete it so that I can use these credits efficiently. Because once the class is finished, if I forgot to delete, then again the resources would be wasted. Okay, so please create an account in the Google and start doing R&D so that you'll get more information.